Okay, I'm here to pay the final Wells Fargo bill and get this place out of my life once and for all. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I just went into this other Wells Fargo up in Bloomington, Minnesota. The individuals in there, they were very nice, I guess. But basically they said that since Wells Fargo has sent this to a collection agency, I have to pay the collection agency. The problem is, of course, I don't pay collection agencies. They're scumbags. They are the filth of the earth. I spent 4 years researching and writing a book on the credit industry back in the mid-90s after being in graduate school in computer science and seeing how personal information was being weaponized. I have to run to work now, so I can't say much more. I will elaborate on what happened here. But apparently, I put the money on the desk, the full amount, change, coins, pennies, and he said he can't take it. He can't take my money. I'll elaborate on this more later. Okay, I am back. It's about 6 hours later, and you know, when people are at work, who needs an actual lunch when you can just sit and instead tell the world about the continued adventures of one of the most incompetent corporations in the United States of America. So let me go through this as quickly as I can with the very small amount of time I have left. What happened was I went into a different Wells Fargo this time. The people in there, they were, you know, they seemed sincere to the extent that they were about trying to get me a resolution. What it boiled down to wasn't so much that they didn't want to help as that their policy doesn't allow them to. So this is going to take a long time to resolve something really stupid that I don't need to mess around with, that I never asked for, since I never asked for this debt in the first place. So let me just quickly go over what's happening here. I had the money, as I told you. I've had it in storage in this envelope with this, well, I just lost some coins, but the letter from this sleazebag collection agency they sent it to. And I held it for 2 weeks. To be honest, at this point, I haven't even checked to see if anyone's chipped in $1 or not. The fact is, I've been working so hard at my job and trying to fix this car all week, I haven't had a chance to do it. Or 2 weeks, really, and the car still has a long way to go. So, you know, I had the money. All I wanted to do was go in, pay them the money, get a receipt, and never talk to Wells Fargo again. And instead, this is going to turn into a long, drawn-out publicity nightmare for somebody. And after what I've been through living in a car through 2 Minnesota winters, it ain't going to be me. Now, it's not that he would not take the money, it's that he could not take the money. And the reason is because Wells Fargo was so impatient that even as I was coming to them and telling them the story, keeping them up to date on everything. First of all, apparently the only time they put notes in the system when I visited them was the first time. First of all, apparently the only time they put notes in the system when I visited them was the first time. And all it said was hardship. So it said customer experiencing hardship. So Wells Fargo response to hardship was to send them to collections when the person came to them. That's your first clue of what you're dealing with Wells Fargo. So if you ever have hardship with your family, keep that in mind. as I said before, pull your money out of Wells Fargo as if your life depends upon it. Because Wells Fargo put my life at risk when they took away my bank account for a charge I never authorized. And yet, I'm willing to pay. But they won't take the money, you see. Even though I'm willing to pay. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Alright, so this is over, I'm sorry, I had the amount wrong last time. The total amount is $186.49. Wells Fargo is so anxious to get that money that they went and they sold it to a collection agency. So what they're telling me at the bank is that I now owe the money to a collection agency, not to them. Therefore, they cannot even take payment, even as I took these bills and coins and I laid them out and counted them out and set them on the fellow's desk. Now, the funny thing is, even as I had these sitting on the desk waiting for him to take it and give me a receipt, even as they're sitting there right beneath him like this, he said to me, he looked at the collections letter and he said to me, "So you're not going to pay this?" Wow. It's hard to know how to respond to something like that, isn't it? I'm not sure what this is exactly. So I responded honestly, as I have throughout all of this, and I said, I'm not paying this. I'm not paying these sleaze bags. I have nothing to do with a collection agency. I never did. I never signed up to do anything with them. These guys are moral degenerates. That's what that whole industry is, first and foremost. And I'm not paying them a dime. I went there to pay Wells Fargo because Wells Fargo is who I owe the money to, since they decided to take a charge that I didn't authorize. But I'm going to admit what culpability I had there, and I'm going to pay it. I've been willing to pay it all along. So to explain this quickly, what I came up with was just a quick analogy, scratched out on paper basically on last break there. Imagine that you have a lemonade stand, little kids running a lemonade stand, and you're a little kid. And you walk up and you say, "How much is a glass of lemonade?" And the kid pours a shot glass and says, "It's 25 cents," and hands it to you. So you think it's a sample, so you sip the shot glass. And the kid says, "Okay, that's 25 cents. You're like, "What? What do you mean? That wasn't a glass. That was a shot glass. It was a sample." He's like, "No, that was the drink. You owe me 25 cents. But you're a good person, so you say, "Okay, you know what? This is really just one of the stupidest things I've ever heard of in my life. This was a scam. You set me up, but I did drink it. I'll pay you. The problem is I only have 15 cents. I don't have enough. So I'll tell you what, I will pay you when I can, and I will keep you up to date in the meantime." So then, let's say 2 days later you come back, and a neighbor has promised to pay you $5 to mow their lawn. Plenty of money to pay this. And the kid says, "Okay." So you come back 3 days later, and you tell them, "Well, you know what? I mowed their lawn, but they didn't pay me, and I haven't been able to get a hold of them, so I don't know when they will pay me." The kid says, "Okay." But you also tell them, that may be the case, but at the same time, another family on the other side has asked me to feed their dog for the weekend while they're away, and these people are really reliable. I've done this all the time, so they will pay me Monday after I feed their dog for the weekend. So the kid says, "All right." And so you come back Monday after feeding the dog and you got paid, and you have the money, and you go to give it to the kid, and the kid says, "I couldn't wait any longer for you, so I sold your debt to Bubba." As it turns out, Bubba is the leader of a brutal satanic cult, one of the most vicious human beings on the face of the earth. Among other things, Bubba is well known for child sex trafficking, child rape, child abuse, mutilation, sacrificing children to Satan, dealing drugs to children to get them hooked on drugs so they'll provide sex, and he's also known for some pretty bad things on top of that. This is what Bubba is known for. This is what the whole Bubba industry is known for. Now, you never did anything with Bubba. You had no affiliation with Bubba whatsoever. Nothing. But this kid couldn't wait for the 25 cents. Even though you kept coming to him and telling him, "Well, here's the situation. I will pay you. Here's the situation." And then when you came with the money, the kid said, "No, I'm not going to take that. You don't owe me anymore. You now owe Bubba." Go deal with Bubba. That's what Wells Fargo has done to me. Because that's what the collections industry is. It's a Bubba. And the way they treat debtors, especially poor and impoverished, struggling debtors, homeless debtors, is exactly the way that Bubba treats children. And as far as I'm concerned, they work for the same guy who lives in a lot of hellfire down there somewhere. So if you think I'm going to give this money to Bubba so that he can use this money and he can go out and continue raping children, selling children, crossing international borders, selling drugs to children, if you think I'm going to give him my money to support Bubba's existence, you got another thing coming. This money was for Wells Fargo, and I went there and laid it out on their desk, and they didn't want it. I have to go back in from lunch now, so maybe I'll have a little loose ends to tie up on this, or maybe I'll just stop the video and let you know what happens next. Stay tuned, folks. This is going to be a good one.